Splitgate is one of my favorite arena shooters ever made, hands down. Its weapons all feel like the best version of that kind of weapon. Every weapon feels distinct and fulfills a role. And on top of this, the game adds portals, adding an entire new dimension of play, and the map design utilizes this and is just absolutely amazing. The maps use portals in fantastic ways, creating verticality and a completely new dynamic to gameplay. Splitgate 2 just had its open alpha test, and I played it. Splitgate 1 had buttery smooth movement that was fast and intense. Splitgate 2 slows down movement and makes things feel a bit more realistic, making everything a bit less exhilarating. Splitgate 1 was completely focused on the decisions you made in the arena. Where to go, what guns to go for, where to place portals, what tactics to use. Splitgate 2, on the other hand, is very focused on what you do before getting in the arena. What hero will you play? Pick and customize your loadouts, decide what guns and attachments you want to use, and pick your passive perks. What I really hoped for with Splitgate 2 was a game that took the design philosophy of the first and the quality of that team and expanded on everything. More guns, bigger maps, these big team battle type modes, equipment like grenades, and even vehicles would be a crazy, really cool addition. I actually had this idea where you could have a sort of like rocket launcher sized portal gun that made big ass portals, and then you can drive vehicles through. So imagine just like a tank going across the map through a big ass portal because guy's got a rocket launcher sized portal gun. Instead of this, Splitgate 2 completely changed the design philosophy and in the process lost its unique identity. Yes, this is just an alpha test, but I don't know if this is stuff that can be fixed. This is very foundational stuff. It is the very design philosophy of this game seems different than what I think most Splitgate fans really wanted. Splitgate 2 kind of feels like a really watered down version of Splitgate. The game's all about chasing trends, to be honest, and it feels like they completely forgot what made the first game so damn good. Portals. This game adds hero abilities. Each hero has loadouts and unique weapons they can use in that loadout. And it adds attachments that you could pick to add to your weapons. There are power weapons on the map, like the first game, although not quite as many. And I might not hate these changes, except that the map design has taken a massive hit. While it's not as bad as just having like 3 lanes or some of the Call of Duty maps, the maps are extremely boring in both layout and aesthetic. What happened to the iconic maps of Splitgate 1, the iconic map design of that game? Stadium, Olympus, Club Silo, Highwind. These are all maps that are extremely memorable and super cool. None of the maps we've seen in Splitgate 2's alpha come close to any of these. There's almost no verticality, and the worst failure of all is the placement of portal walls. It's just really lacking. There aren't near as many portal walls or places you can use them as the first game. I think this is to encourage more standard movement tactics, to make new players more comfortable, and so the powers can be used more often. But we had a saying about Splitgate you get it when you start thinking with portals. But in this sequel, they've tried to throw in so many things that they just don't seem to flesh out on. Splitgate 1's tagline was Halo with portals, a strong, focused identity that was felt in the gameplay. Now it's Halo, but it's kind of Call of Duty because there's loadouts, attachments, and perks, but it's also a hero game. Oh, and on top of all that, yes, there's also portals. The game's art style looks so much worse, in my opinion, than the first game. It's bland and really does look like a mobile game, although obviously the level of detail is better. I'm just talking as far as design goes. It reminds me of the genericness of a lot of mobile games. It sacrificed the color and vibrancy of Splitgate for a watered down semi realism. It reminds me of Halo 4 in a lot of ways in the direction 343 took that game. Let's take an iconic art style and make it more realistic. Surely that'll make it better, right? The heroes of Splitgate 2 don't really have any identity. There's three of them, and their abilities aren't particularly interesting. And when the abilities are interesting, it ends up feeling not that impactful anyway. If you don't have one person playing each hero, you're at a disadvantage because of the passive buffs having each hero gives you. This limits team composition, even though it already doesn't really matter that much anyway which heroes you have. The weapons have lost their distinct identities. Now, most of your decision making is in the menus before the match, picking your hero and creating your loadout rather than in the match, choosing what weapons to go for. Even the announcer sounds like the off brand version of the last game, not having nearly the same gravitas in his voice that Splitgate's one announcer did. And if somehow this is the same announcer, then something about the direction just went wrong. Splitgate 1 was an amazing game, and I've been looking forward to this sequel. I really, really wanted to like this sequel. I was really hoping this sequel would be successful, but things aren't looking good from what I've seen so far. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of Splitgate 2 and if you're hopeful for the game's future.